Walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. We're just walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet.
Kick up those feet now.
Hello, my name is Rio Windcaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world. I actually have a little bit of a bounce in my step here in myself and my cousin Jay singing a little refrain from the song We Like Cider. And that was early on when we were playing with a couple different variations of it, doing it fast, doing it slow. And Jay has always really encouraged me to do it Louisiana style with big drums and horns and all that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, wait till the very end of this here, episode 318, because I will be leading out with the full song We Like Cider. So that's something to look forward to. Hopefully you follow Cider Chat and all the different social media channels out there in the Ciderverse. And, of course, subscribe to this here podcast. But if you don't, and this is new to you, do know that recently I have been promoting a cider tour that I'm going to be leading to both Normandy and Brittany this coming September. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. And there's a bunch of people who have signed up for it already, and there is still room for this tour for more folks. So I want to encourage you because it's rather time sensitive. And if you go to the Totally Cider page at ciderchat.com, you will see the full itinerary of who we're going to be meeting with and the different areas. And if you have more questions, you could always send an email. There's a link to an email to ask further questions and a link to the sign up form. So it's all pretty nice, neat and tidy, and it's just going to be a banger of a tour. I know that, we begin in Paris and head out to Normandy, then make our way down to Brittany, then circle back again. It's just really ooh la la. So that's what's happening there. And those of you who listen and to Cider Chat all the time might be noticing that my voice sounds a little bit different. And that's because I am on kind of like the tail end of a cold here that has just knocked my socks off. So we're going to just kind of kick right to the point on this here episode because I can't talk too much, which is hard for a podcaster. And I'm going to lead you in. We're going to do like a reboot of an episode with one particular maker. And let me take a little pause here, come back on that, and lead you into who we're going to be talking with. There is one person on the Totally Cider Tour to Normandy back in 2018 who has never kind of forgotten that we had too little time at his cidery. He just didn't want us to leave because it was so unique for him to host somebody there and do a tour. They have a tasting room, but they do not do tours. And to bring in, a busload of folks who were stoked to taste the apples and walk around in his really select orchard, and for him to tell the story of how actually apple trees are being plowed over just across the area from his farm. Him watching that, growing up there as a kid, is really, it has a lot of depth. It kind of breaks your heart a bit. So he didn't want us to leave. So it's been my point to return, to be with Patrice, to be able to have more time and to walk about and take our time at his orchard and cidery. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And this is quite an interesting site because it's multi-generational. There's oak casks in there that if two people 6 feet tall, we're standing on each other's shoulder, that's about how high they are. They're dating back to 17 something, really super old, and still used for storing Calvados, which is really neat. So he is quite the farmer. He does not speak English, and so you're going to hear our lovely guide, Pamela, who will be on this coming fall's cider tour. She is the person that I work with to set up the Totally Cider Tours to France, and she'll be translating. We met at the tasting room, and then
Patrice got onto our bus and we drove down to his home, which is not open to the public. He does not provide tours at this location, and he was highly recommended to me by my contacts in Normandy, specifically EDAC, which is the appellation and control for cider, Pommel, and Calvados, and Poré in that region. So that's a little bit of the background story on how I got connected with Patrice. And when you get a tip like that, you definitely want to follow it up. There's no doubt about that. And so we were able to go to his location and do a tour of his orchard. We left the tasting room area, which is more open to the public, and then went down to his private residence. And on either side of the driveway is an orchard. Up on the hill, his daughter was using one of the apple picker-uppers, is what I call it. It's basically a machine that goes around underneath the trees and is collecting drops, because in France, they are able to use drops in their cider making. They're not worried about that as, like, for instance, the U.S. is. Not allowing makers to use drops is very unfortunate, because by them using these machines, they really reduce labor costs, and they're able to use fruit that is perfectly fine, absolutely perfectly fine, because when you ferment to alcohol, you're not worrying about any kind of bacteria or the little buggers that might get on the apples. The alcohol takes care of that. Anyway, so we moved around in the orchard. We are tasting different apples there. He's really encouraging us to do that and talking. So you're going to have a glimpse of that experience. Then we're walking over to the barn. We didn't get to go into all the rooms and hear everything that he was doing, but we did go into a back room where there were these very old oak barrels. And you just walk in there and you're breathing in, and it's like, gosh, I could still smell it. Let me just put it that way. I could still smell it and feel the experience of being in that barrel room like we were in other barrel rooms on the tour. But in the meanwhile, how about if you and I grab a glass? I'm going to actually open up this little bottle of Calvados that I brought back. Here it is. Next up, you're going to hear us arriving at Domaine du Manoir de Montreuil and meeting Patrice Giard and walking in the orchard.
Patrice Giard's farm is divided into two parts. The one where we are right now, to say where he feeds and where he takes care of the cattle and the animals, and the other one is for the transformation. So la transformation. He produces milk and meat. His farm is about 120 hectares. And actually, all around you, you can really enjoy the beautiful landscapes of Normandy. I didn't talk about that, but this is quite unique in France, because in most parts of France, starting from the 50s, they have been cutting all the trees to make sure the intensive agriculture was able to have enough productivity. And except in Normandy, there was a exception. So that's why now this area, all Normandy, is kind of protected. It's like a protected area. You can't cut the trees.
Donc là, il y a 30 hectares de vergers tout autour de la ferme.
So all around you, you can observe 30 hectares of orchards.
Wow. Ce sont des vergers qu'on appelle des vergers haute tige, sur lesquels les animaux peuvent pâturer.
Okay, so they are high stem trees where the animals can get fed, can stay around. Yeah, they can get grazed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Donc les vergers ne sont pas traités.
So there is so they don't treat the orchards like they are organical orchards. When I say organical orchards, is that because nowadays when we speak about organical orchards, it means that they have a special appellation and they have tests and controls and so on. So he's saying that so he doesn't use any treatments not medical treatment,
pesticides,
chemicals, chemicals treatments. But at the same time, it doesn't have the label. It's just saying that he's naturally organical, like he's just doing what they were doing like in the past. So
does that mean that he doesn't spray for bugs at all?
Est-ce que vous pulvérisez par exemple pour les insectes?
No.
So here we are with Patrice Giard at his area, his home, where the orchards are flanked on either side. We went down these narrow roads. It's just this incredible maneuver by bus driver Eric. We first went to his first farm where he had the cattle. Of course, there's apple trees and pear trees everywhere. You can look out right now on this beautiful Normandy day. They're gathering, picking up apples.
He's saying that
this is Pamela.
He's using just like the natural, the nature against the bugs, for example, because he's saying that, for example, when there is like I don't remember the term, like when you have like a little animal inside the apple, how do you call it? A worm. Mm-hmm. So actually saying that the cow eats it, and the cow also eats this little animal, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that since now he has never be facing any kind of insects, bugs issue. Like everybody is really regulated just with the cows and all the other animals he's using it. Yeah, so he doesn't have to use any chemicals. He's saying that in the nature, like everyone has his own predator, so we make sure that he can balance his ecosystem in which everybody has his own predator.
So now we're getting off the bus at Patrice Giard's home, something that he doesn't normally open to people, and it's just an amazing opportunity for all of us.
Interesting, because it's the first time we're going to deal with this aspect, with this issue. So he was saying that in this area now he's the only one making cider, because either like the other farms have been diversifying their products. They have been either choosing just like a milk industry or a beef industry or cereals also, or they have been, as you can see around you, they just left. Actually, he was saying that during his childhood, all over here, it was just about orchards everywhere around here, and now you can see that. Donc ils ont coupé les arbres.
Oui, les arbres sont tombés ou
either they cut it them, either just they fell down. Actually.
L'agriculture française.
So he's saying that little by little, agriculture in France is having less and less parts. Due for one of the reasons is the fact that Europe actually is really destroying agriculture in France. Saying that so Europe, like if you just want to focus a little bit on when I say Europe, of course you know what I mean, European Union. Yeah. So at the beginning, European Union was about 6 members, and then 9, and like I don't remember since l'Europe des 27, c'est depuis quand? 2010, je crois.
Oui, 2010. Depuis la chute du mur de Berlin.
Ouais, mais les 27 c'était un petit peu après.
Un petit peu après, oui, l'Estonie.
Ouais, we don't remember exactly when it was, but now European Union is made of 27 states. I think it's about like since like 8 years ago, more or less. And since that time, it's really difficult to be able to support agriculture all over the states actually of Europe now. Also,
big issue. So he let us come in. This is a small village of only 53 people, and the actual area is what he has on his cider, Montreuil, and his wife is collecting the apple. The machine that kind of picks it up from the ground. She's up there on the tractor.
Okay, so this is a family-run farm because he's working with his wife and with his daughter.
Ah, good.
Et votre fille, vous pensez qu'elle elle reprendra?
Ah, elle a repris.
Ah, okay. So,
Donc elle s'occupe de toute la partie laitière.
okay, so his daughter is really focused on the milk activity, actually.
The dairy.
Donc
Dairy, yeah.
quand elle s'est installée, elle a installé un robot pour faire les vaches.
Okay, so now when she decided to run the farm, she bought a machine, a robot to milk
automatic
the cow.
machine.
Yeah, automatical machine to milk the cows.
Are there apples that are no longer in production elsewhere here?
Oui,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oui. Vous voulez en goûter quelques-unes?
Would you like to taste some?
Ah oui.
Vous pouvez voir avec lui.
So now Patrice is walking over to the barn. Up to our right is the orchard, and to our left is this colombage, that old style barn, just absolutely, I don't know, ancient looking, with wooden shutters. And we're walking down into the orchard.
In 1996.
Trees in this orchard were planted in 1996.
Ce sont des
You can pick up, you can collect it.
Domaine de Calvados.
Name of the apple is Domaine de Calvados.
Domaine de
Domaine de
Calvados.
Ouais, Calvados
C'est une
Domaine.
pomme douce amère.
So it's a sour, sweet, like mix sweet sour apple.
One of these.
Yeah, sure.
C'est une très très vieille variété.
It's a really old apple variety.
And what would this apple be used for?
C'est une variété de
Will this be used for Calvados?
pour le cidre et Calvados.
Cider
And
and
cider
Calvados.
Calvados.
He was saying that this is like part of the tough job of his job is to select actually the apple. This is like the real difficulty for him.
How many different varieties are in this orchard?
Just this one, or
Yeah, well, part of his orchard.
so 50. He was saying
50.
that there are about 50 different kind of apples. Vous avez à peu près 50 variétés.
50 variétés.
And are they all for cider? All
pour le cidre.
Oui, toutes pour
Or
le cidre,
eating?
ouais.
And eating.
Yeah. Vous en avez aussi certaines plutôt ou pas?
Il y en a quelques-unes. Je vais vous faire goûter.
Just a little bit, he's going to
Okay.
taste it. The origin actually of cider in France is right here, as you know, actually in Pays d'Auge. And this is from the beginning of it, it's from 1450, 1450.
1450.
Yeah, 1450. Why did it come true? Because the French king actually by that time, so I don't remember the name of him, I could make research, so decided to prohibit wine making because of the lack of sun. Like wine was like the taste of the wine was really bad, so that's why they just they diversify. Well, they change the grape into something else.
Yeah.
The reason why they decided to change the fruit is that because the water actually wasn't clear, wasn't clean neither. So they definitely needed to find something else to replace.
A lot of birds.
Les gens mouraient de typhoïde
That's part
et
of our-
d'autres maladies dans ces époques-là.
Yeah, during
Find something to drink
back
that's
to
not
that
gonna
time,
kill you.
lots of people were dying from water diseases.
Yeah.
Actually,
Donc il était moins
Same in
risqué.
US.
comme
Same
aux
in-
États-Unis.
Donc il était moins risqué de boire du cidre ou du vin. Je veux dire, c'était meilleur pour la santé.
Yeah,
C'était-
so that's why they were trying to drink another juices instead of drinking water, and especially wine at the beginning and then cider. The skin of the
Qu'est-ce que c'est the name?
C'est
Non.
Bisque.
Bisque.
Bisque. B-I-S.
from the
Yeah, like
from the
Bay of
region of
Biscay.
Spain.
C'est aussi une douce amère. Mais
So it's
elle est
also
plus
like
douce que l'amère.
a sweet, bitter apple.
Right now we're walking across this massive field, coming downhill, as Patrice picks up different apples and hands this off to people and is describing the varieties. To my left is a pear tree that's just down there, beautiful. The whole hillside here is sloped with orchards, all neatly planted again. I think it was in 1996.
Ici, vous avez une variété qu'on appelle le Frequin rouge, qui est une variété amère.
Okay, so this is a sour one, and oui, en effet. Le fruit amer, comment vous avez dit comment ça s'appelle?
Le Frequin rouge.
Le Frequin rouge. The name of it is Frequin. C'est quoi Frequin? Ça veut dire quoi?
C'est le nom de la variété.
Okay, donc the name of this apple is Frequin rouge, red Frequin. Frequin is just the name of this variety. Like it doesn't.
I wonder if he has a map of where all the different varieties are, or he just knows that.
Alors vous avez une carte sur laquelle il y a vraiment toutes les variétés qui sont notées quelque part, ou vraiment vous connaissez par cœur?
Moi je les connais par cœur les variétés, mais je veux dire tout est.
So he knows by heart where the different kind of apples are, but to get the appellation of the AOP of Pays d'Auge, he definitely needs to list all the varieties of apple he has.
But not on a map where it's located.
Est-ce que vous avez, est-ce que c'est juste une liste en fait de toutes les variétés que vous avez, ou bien est-ce qu'il faut par exemple pour avoir l'appellation, est-ce qu'il faut que vous dites voilà sur ce tel endroit j'ai ce type de pomme?
C'est ça.
Yeah, so he has the map. Yeah.
Okay.
C'est comme pour les vignobles, c'est pareil.
Okay, it's the same for the wine appellations actually.
Il y a une cartographie.
Yeah, it's a mapography.
On va trouver une variété acide.
We tried some Perry pear.
Oh, you did?
Your lips to your teeth.
We'll find some sweet ones. But they do love to mess with your head.
Yeah.
He wanted to make you taste some bitter apples, but as you can see right now, the trees don't have any apples, unfortunately.
Well, what kind is it?
This one, what kind is it? Ça, c'est quelle variété de pomme, celui-ci?
Donc c'était petit jaune.
Petit jaune, little yellow. Petit jaune. But it's not
producing.
Regarde, j'en ai vu une sur un arbre.
It just saw one in one tree. And it's
He knows
looking
these
for it.
trees.
We should encourage.
Philippe, Alain.
So sometimes it's hard to find the apple on the apple tree, even in the most abundant territory, because they can be biannual or the drought has affected them here. But here we are running back and forth to each little apple, and it looks like our group has found some by shaking a limb.
This is the only one. Make sure
You want to show us a bitter one?
they collect them 3 times, and the last time, so the 4th time they collected, they shake the tree with an umbrella on the opposite umbrella, and they take the apples from
Vous
it.
la verrez en photo dans la boutique La Corogne.
You are going to see this umbrella machine
Good.
over there.
Oui.
On the picture. This is a really old farm because he's representing the 13th generation of apple cider makers.
Wow. 13th generation of apple cider makers. How often are they pruned? The trees are pruned?
Prune, what does it mean?
Cut back.
Combien de fois vous les taillez?
On va tous les 3 ans à peu près.
So those ones have been planted into that area since the beginning of the 19th century because one good specificity of this pear is that they can be transported and they are like really easy transportable, which means that they were used for exportation to Germany, for example, because they were able to stay like a long time in the trains without being destroyed. So
vous pouvez croquer dedans si vous avez de bonnes dents.
So you can have a sip of it, even just if you have like really strong teeth, because if not, they are really solid. So
we bit into
one.
And then,
ils ont essayé, mais ils n'ont pas réussi. C'est comment elle s'appelle déjà cette
Poire de grise.
Poire de grise, which is gray pears.
Yeah,
Gray pears.
pears.
Yeah.
And then we look up at the graph there.
Et alors celui qui est là-bas, Over there, you mean?
No, right there.
Right here.
Ah, right
Ça,
here.
c'est la greffe, ça.
Oui, c'est la greffe. Ouais. Oui, oui, this is the greffe. How do you say that in English?
Graph.
Graph. Yeah, graph. Ah, yeah, you
Yeah.
was taking there.
Pretty amazing. The height of it is incredible.
I knew I came for some reason.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't reach it.
So that graft is probably about I'm gonna say 8.5 feet tall. We have Al, who's on our trip, was able to reach up to that graft. Now we're walking behind the barn here out of the orchard. You can see some large stainless steel cylinder tanks for making the cider. Seeing some IBC tanks too, a bit of stainless, and a nice stone classic Norman barn ahead. This is a presserie we're walking by. Okay, so we're following him behind the large press underneath the hose. I'm just barely making it under into the back room. They opened up a sliding door, and we're going into the area that he keeps the cider. These
Here
large.
the ciders are stuffed into those inox
Stainless steel.
yeah.
Et toute la ferme est dédiée, je veux dire,
In this site where we are right now, every room is dedicated to cider production. Okay, so it
Donc
or Calvados or Pommeau.
on stocke le Calvados dans des fûts en bois et le cidre de consommation dans des cuves inox, le cidre à distiller aussi dans des fûts en bois, dans des cuves comme celle-là, ou comme ceux que je vais vous montrer tout à l'heure.
Okay, so the cider, as you know, is stuck into those steel stills, and then you have the Calvados and Pommeau into the, ce sont du chêne,
Chêne.
oak barrels.
Chêne oak.
Voilà.
Ouais.
Great.
Okay.
He's going to show you. Yeah, you can.
Peek in there. So we're leaving that room, but I want to just say in the back there was also some really large oak barrels. The ones that are upright, they are narrow up on the top and then flange out on the bottom. Nice, cool room. I think it might be on the north side of the building. I'm not quite sure, but something that you don't quite see every day, only in Normandy. Next to like a giant barrel. The setup in this room is all like the cinder block kind of stonework that they have here. The walls are dark and black.
So, as you
And
can see,
this
one
barrel
from
is same.
1903. Like most of them are just 100 years old. Yeah.
It smells like funky cheese.
So there are 450 hectoliters.
Wow. And that's filled with Calvados.
C'est il y a du Calvados à l'intérieur.
Non, c'est du cidre pour faire du Calvados.
So right now this is cider to
be.
do,
Okay.
to be Calvados.
Nice. Wow.
Donc je vais les distiller là bientôt, puis les remplir en niche.
Okay, so like soon he's going to distill it and to fold them again. Comment vous les nettoyez?
Ben on ouvre
Ouais.
en bas et on rentre dedans. avec-
Okay, so the same. Would you like to do it? Like, yeah, they enter in it and they clean it.
Yeah.
Clean it.
Wow. And these have been here for a very long time. I see that there's some engraving on it.
Ils sont là, ils sont placés là.
Ben, depuis leur construction.
Since the beginning of their, yeah.
13 generations.
Yeah.
13 generations.
No, well,
1903.
yeah, since
1903.
1903.
Okay. Oh, I see that. Okay, thank you. And it says, is that the name of the cooper, the barrel maker up there?
Alors, est-ce que c'est le nom? Oui, because fait par means done by.
CE, puis après vous avez le nom ici.
I see it. It's on here.
Fallait-voir.
Ouais, yeah, because fait par means done, made by, and so this is the name. Comment c'est?
Pellebois.
Pellebois. Pellebois, it's the name of the barrel maker.
What is the minimum time that these barrels stay empty?
Combien de temps il faut les garder vides à peu près au début?
Ah non, une fois qu'ils sont fabriqués, il faut les utiliser.
Okay, so there is no reason to put them empty. Like
They're always
as
full.
you get them, yeah, you fill them.
Always full, okay. Very cool.
You gotta get one of these barrels.
Yeah.
It's sour and it's a
Is this the only one or is another one behind?
Est-ce qu'il y en a un autre derrière ou est-ce que... Non.
Just here. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
This is amazing.
Great.
It's like Land of the Giants.
I know. She did say that. I can't remember now.
Yeah, interesting
450
what is
hectoliters.
250 hectoliters. 400.
and 50 hectoliters. Interesting what he was saying because he was saying, see, just by looking at them, you can figure out how big was the cider production at the beginning of the 19th century. Because you have to imagine that it was just the standard barrels actually, so it can give you an idea of how big was the cider production. Ouais, c'est vrai.
La production citricole a commencé.
Cider production started to decline right after the World War II. Due to the fact that new appetizers were coming into the market.
So it was more of an aperitif.
Actually, cider was drink the whole meal. Actually,
Right, drunken
but
whole meal, yeah.
starting from this new trend of appetizer, they started to have another also alcohol, like modern. This is his terms, modern alcohol.
Right.
So that's why cider started to become like less and less attractive.
Yeah.
So I think if I did my math right, his annual production would be about 5 of these barrels.
Alors, par an, vous faites à peu près 5, en termes de production, 5... So your math is really great.
Yay, Al. Well done.
So a hectoliter is 100 liters?
100 liters, yeah.
So
Oh, so it's 400.
4,000. 4,500. 45,000 liters.
He said, "We better hurry up. There's something else before we taste. We've got to get some tasting.
Okay, let's do
Wonderful
it.
things to taste."
1972 to 1962.
Okay, so they have the 4, 8, 10, 12 years old Calvados, and like the most, the oldest one is the one from 1969. Wow. Yeah. Why we do it like this. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Yes, there is a reason why we drink it like this. We are like cider. We are like palms. We like orchards. Having some fun.
Having some fun at Manoir de Montreuil with Patrice Giard. Talk about lineage. 13 generations on that same land and soil. You feel the heartbeat when you're there, and I cannot wait to return this coming September. So if this entices you to check out Normandy and to sip and savor a bit, I mean, you know, we go into the tasting room and there's like a whole compilation of years of Calvados to try. This is the cider tour to check out. You could find out more at the Totally Cider page at ciderchat.com. There is a full bevy of info on our overview and who will be visiting besides this one maker. I mean, this is just one of 8 different makers that we're going to be hanging out with. And each one has their own amazing story, their own style, their own touch on the cider, Poré, Calvados, and Pommeau that they make. And I hope you can come along with me. There'll be links in the show notes to this here episode 318 of Cider Chat. And with that, I leave you here. This is a Real Wind Caller signing off for now. Looking forward to seeing you in Ciderville.
We like cider. We like palms. We love orchards and having fun. There is a reason. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. We like cider, we like palms, we like orchards, having some fun. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. Oh yeah. We like cider. Oh yes, we do. We like palms. Oh yes, we do. We love orchards, having some fun. There is a reason. There is a reason why we do it like this. Ba-da-da-dum. There is a reason why we do it like this. Ba-da-da-dum. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Ba-da-da-dum. Ba-da-da-dum. We like walking down the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. Oh yeah. We like cider. Ba-da-da-dum. We like palms. Oh yes, we do. We like orchards, having some fun.
Yeehaw!